Hey guys, Spartan here, and welcome to a video that is probably going to take a lot of time and is highly subjective, but today I'll be ranking all the skills in Butcher's Circus. I didn't make this tier list, but I stumbled across it while looking for something else, and I was like, you know what? Sure, let's do this. So, these are the Butcher's Circus skills, and you can notice because... Actually, no, you probably can't notice because they pretty much look the same as they do in the base game, but the one difference would be that Stygian Embrace is here. So, let's start. Thankfully, whoever made this organized this by the names of the units, so we have Abomination, then Antiquarian, then Arbalist, etc, alphabetically, which is good. And they've also kindly marked which moves have the same icon are different, like Antiquarians protect me, and the Lepers withstand, which I'll scroll down to see later. But, let's start. So, Transform. Transform is an amazing ability. Basically, it has incredible synergy with Wretch's Cloak. Alone, it is 8 horror on every unit for 3 turns each. That's a total of 24 stress per person without the Wretch's Cloak. So that's almost 100 stress just by hitting this button. Sure, it has 2 uses per battle, but it doesn't even take up a turn. You use this, and then you like slam a Crusader to the back lines and ruin him using one of his stuns. So, this is an S tier move. It only has 2 moves, but, I mean, it's an Abomination move. You don't need to take up a slot of another skill to use it. It's just amazing. Manacles. Manacles is a very accurate attack. I believe it has 110 or 115 accuracy. It has very low chance to miss. I mean, you pretty much don't need an accuracy trinket if you're running and going for a Manacles build. Still recommend you run Wretch's Cloak, though. And it can be used in any of the front 3 ranks and hit any of the front 3 ranks, meaning this is one of the reasons why you kill Abomination first, is because, like the Crusader, if you get to the final 2 units, or 1v1, and you have Abomination on the enemy team, if he's not afflicted and is killing himself, then he has a good chance to stun lock you to death, especially when he's using one of his stun trinkets, so this is an A tier skill. Oh boy, Beast's Bile. This is a skill I really don't like. Like, I tried so very hard to get this to work. It is a 3-point blight for 3 turns, so it's a total of 9 blight on 2 characters, potentially. But the thing is, it only has like 95 accuracy, meaning even with Wretch's Cloak, that's 105. That is a decent chance to miss the dodgier units, and yes, it does activate a riposte, but the riposte only does like 12 stress, and 2 blight for 3 rounds, so... Okay, best case scenario, you hit like a Man-at-Arms or someone, and... No, not Man-at-Arms, because he's probably only bellowing. You hit like a Highwayman, and then he Grapeshot Blasts into this, and the Highwayman then has taken like... What is it, like 14 or a total of 16 total damage over the turns, including the damage from the riposte and like 24 stress. That sounds like a lot, but honestly, there are plenty of moves that do this but better. And the thing is, this riposte is actually so weak that there's really no reason not to run Hounds Harry against this. Like, Highwayman riposte, threatening, very threatening. Man-at-Arms riposte can potentially crit you and deal a lot of damage. This, it doesn't really do anything, it's just stress, and it's a very slow way to do stress, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's a C tier move. Absolution. Absolution is a decent move, but you'll very rarely actually use it for its stress healing capabilities. This is more so something to just use to take the Abomination off death's door. It does a decent job at doing it, but it doesn't really do anything incredibly useful, especially considering that you're most likely to have the Abomination be in beast form, transform back to human mode, be on death's door, and then use this. And what you're really doing there is leaving the Abomination dazed, so he's going to be just finished off as soon as the enemy can. So, yeah, it's decent, I guess, for a self-heal. It only has 2 uses per battle, so it's kind of not good, but... I mean, 13 health can be taken down with, like, a single good hit, but... Yeah, it's C tier. I'd say it's definitely above Beast's Bile, though, so... You can sit there. Rake. Rake is actually a pretty good skill. It has decent enough accuracy. It can apply bleed through the Shattered Padlock, which is a pretty good trinket. it can apply Blight through Crushed Hemlock, and of course it stacks its own damage if you keep using it. It's an all-round decent, like, Hue, Zealous Accusation type move. It doesn't particularly do anything, like, incredibly useful, but it's passable. You can do a Rake build, it's just not recommended. Rage. Rage is Rage. Rage doesn't particularly do anything. Like, very few times have I seen the need to use Rage. Rage's one benefit is you can hit rank 3 in beast form, and that's about it. So, sure, it has a lot of crit rate, its accuracy is a little to be desired. Like, it only has like 95, which, sure, it sounds good, but if you want to actually hit like a high profile target like the Jester, you're gonna have a lot of trouble doing it. And of course, Abomination doesn't really want to be in the front ranks most of the time, because he's got like no stun resist. Crusader's just gonna walk all over him, so... You know what, actually, I'll put Beast Spile in D and put Rage in C. I think I overrated Beast Spile. Also, you'll notice that I don't have an E because there are no, like, actual E-grade skills. You're either D tier or you just fail. Slam. Slam is a really good skill. It breaks guard. It has pretty good accuracy. It knocks back 2. And it moves him from rank 3 to rank 2, which may be a bad thing, but if you're trying to run beast form, which is probably not really recommended, it is possible, and you can bleed with the Shattered Padlock, which, I mean, that's not great, but it is something. But yeah, this is, with Shattered Padlock, or even the net, good chance to knock a Crusader into the back lines, which can net you a great advantage in a fight. Also, it's decent for repositioning if you have Abomination slot 2 or something, and you have someone get pulled to slot 2, then you can move forwards. You can also set up other plays, like into Lunge, etc, etc. Slam is overall a really good skill. Never Stab. Never Stab doesn't really do anything. Like, sure, you can use the Ghoul Claw to inflict horror with it. It does have fairly decent damage, but if you're running Antiquarian, you're not really going to be doing it for damage. I'm tempted to put it in D, but just because Ghoul Claw exists and that is like a huge 10 accuracy, 25% damage on this skill, I'm willing to give it a C. Festering Vapors. Festering Vapors is an S tier skill, I don't care what anyone says. This move is just completely busted. Like, half of my teams run Antiquarian merely because Festering Vapors exists. So what Festering Vapors does is, it does a little bit of damage, usually like 1 to 2, maybe 3 on a crit, and it applies 2 Blight for 3 rounds to all characters. That is as much as Hounds Harry, but the benefit that you have with this over Hounds Harry is that while Hounds Harry has like about the same accuracy, all the same stats, Festering Vapors has a trinket called Materia Pestis, which everyone should know exists. It's like one of the last trinkets you unlock, because you don't want to have it like tearing up the low ranks because it's too powerful. It increases Blight skill chance by 20%, same as the attack whistle, but instead of the extra accuracy of 12, it grants an extra turn of Blight on everyone, and most good units that you see in high rankings have very little Blight resist, like Crusader, Bounty Hunter, Arbalist. Only exception being like the Jester, who has like 30, so there's a chance that he doesn't get blighted, but then again he'll probably dodge it anyway because he's fucking Jester. But yeah, if you combine all that damage total, the damage over time alone is, well, you're going to be dealing 8 points per character. So that's a total of like 34 damage. No, that's not 34, 32 damage from just the damage over time. So that much damage from one attack is completely bonkers. Like, this is the reason why stupid big AoE hit all enemy characters with very heavy dot. This is one of the reasons why it works. And it lasts for 4 rounds, so even if you... Like, you can run Antiquarian and just spam this for the first 3 turns before she dies horribly, and you'll still probably win, because it leaves lingering wounds. It's very good. Take Cover, aka Get Down, whichever one you want to call it. It's a pretty good move. Moves her backwards, gives her death blow resist, puts her in stealth. This is one of the reasons why Antiquarian is one of the best slot 4 characters, is because you can get pulled by the Bounty Hunter and then you can go into stealth, and sure, the Arbalist can just flare away your stealth, but that takes up the Arbalist's turn. So like, it doesn't matter. You effectively just wasted their turn anyway. And then on your next turn, you can have your Antiquarian take an actual turn, and the mark will go away because that stupid come hither mark only lasts 2 turns. So yeah, you've just wasted their turns with like 1 character. This is a pretty good skill. Doesn't actually further your combat prowess though, so I can only give it a B tier. But this is definitely a staple skill. It's fine. It doesn't need to be A tier because honestly, sure, it doesn't progress you further, but it does reposition your party, so that's pretty good. If it gave her a buff to anything other than Deathblow Resist, it would probably be a lot better. Like if it gave her dodge or something like while stealthed, probably be an A tier skill, but nah, it's good enough as it is. Flash Powder, it's possible. Flash Powder is a good remover to stealth, and while the Grave Robber is a pretty good unit that can stealth herself, there's really no unit other than another Antiquarian that stealths themselves and really needs that protection. I mean, sure, you could use it to prevent Stygian Embraces, extra stress dealt, but yeah, it is decent. The accuracy debuff is pretty good, but it doesn't... If I recall correctly, it only lasts 2 rounds, so it's a bit hit or miss whether it works. I'd say this is another B tier skill. It's not bad, but there are better moves to run. Rejuvenating Vapors, this is another really good skill. I'd say this is A tier, behind Manacles. This is a lot of healing. This is 9 points per character, so it's 36 healing on its own. There's a trinket that you can get that buffs it by 1 turn again. And basically, this is one of the reasons why Mark comps can be not terribly good. It's like why Mark comps need damage over time to win, is because if you have 1 proc of this up, and somebody gets marked and shot down by the Arbalist, but they have regen up, they can just take their turn, they're immediately off death's door, and they can just do whatever they want. So, yeah, this is a really good move, and it stacks up even if you kill the Arbalist first. It leaves lingering healing. Honestly, this move may actually be a little too good, but that's merely because the Arbalist, I mean not the Arbalist, the Antiquarian is a bit of a bloated character with how power crept her skills are. Honestly, I think she's the only character that is consistently this good. Dodge Vapors, aka Invigorating. I'm not a fan of Invigorating Vapors, but I will admit it is a very good skill. Like, Dodge build has potential to do very well. Unfortunately, Jester's a very popular unit, so you'll most likely see Battle Ballads everywhere, but I'll give it a B, because stacking up this, like 3 stacks of this can outdo Battle Ballads by an extra 10. So there's a good chance you'll miss, but there is ways of getting around this, sadly. But if you are not running a very high accuracy comp, you can very easily lose to just this skill. So it's not terribly good. I think it's honestly a very well-balanced skill, especially considering the fact that you're guaranteed a 5% chance to hit, no matter how much dodge the opponent has. So even if you stack this up to ridiculous levels like, 200 dodge somehow by, I don't know, probably cheating, it is very well a pretty decent skill, and plus you're wasting your turns using this instead of one of these 2 moves. And finally, Protect Me. Protect Me is a bit of a tricky move, considering it is simultaneously an incredibly powerful skill and a skill that does absolutely nothing. Basically, if your opponent has Shieldbreaker, this is a completely useless move. Like, every single time, that Antiquarian is going to be pulled to the front line and have their guard broken. But this actually still does something, even if the guard doesn't, you know, stay up, considering it gives, like, 20% protection and 10 dodge for 4 turns. This is, like, one of the lengthiest buffs for another unit. So, you can put this on Highwaymen, and that's pretty much the de facto way to use it. You can, like, my best Highwayman build is Monkey's Paw plus Eagle Eye Talisman, just because I use Grapeshot Blast and I want the extra accuracy for that, even with the tracking shot buff. And if you use them on Highwayman with this, Highwayman goes up to 40 dodge, which is... It doesn't sound like too much. It's basically the same, though, as a Jester with a Monkey's Paw, which is incredibly slippery, and of course you don't want to risk attacking a Highwayman because you'll be riposting constantly. So, there's a very good chance that the Highwayman just instantly annihilates any character with this. But, of course, this is Butcher's Circus, where guards don't mean too much, considering that every character can, like, be hit at once with certain skills, such as Festering Vapors, of course. So, I'll give this a high B, because it doesn't... It's not fantastic. Actually, I think I'll move Rake down a little. Is Rake better than Invigorating Vapors? Honestly, probably, yeah. Sniper Shot, Arbalist skill. This is an S tier skill, just because it does insane damage, it has insane crit rate, it has insane accuracy. Like, what can be said about Sniper Shot that hasn't already been said? Pretty much nothing, so I'll just leave it at that to keep it simple. There is no reason why you should be never running Sniper Shot, even if you're running a completely different build. Sniper Shot is just too good. I mean, this thing even gets plus 30% death blow unmarked. That's crazy. Suppressing Fire. Honestly, a better move than you think. But if you're running Arbalist, you won't be using this move, because Arbalist is honestly a better unit than the character that used this. If this were on a different unit, if this were on a Cultist, then this would be a fantastic move for the Stress v Stress, like, matchup. And it has synergy with things like Abyssal Artillery, because in case you don't know what this move does, I don't blame you, because nobody used this move. It hits the back two lines, it reduces the stress damage they deal, and increases the stress damage they take by 25% for 2 rounds. So, you can use Horror, you can use just basically any stress attack combined with this. I think Flagellant works very well with this. And this is very favorable in the Stress v Stress matchup, because usually people like to put Man-at-Arms in rank 4 because it's the least vulnerable position to put him in, and you can just bellow away like mad in the back. So reducing his damage, or stress damage, by 50% constantly with 2 stacks of this, it's a great way to prevent your team from, you know, going insane faster than the enemy team is. And this does apply stress by itself. It's a 12 stress attack for 2 units, so it's semi-decent. The only problem is it's on Arbalist, so I'll give it a B. It's probably better than Rake, but not incredibly good. Sniper's Mark. For, of course, the Arbalist. It says Arb right here. So, this is a mark. It applies a debuff to dodge. 30 dodge debuff, if I remember correctly. The only problem is that it's a debuff with a 100% chance, meaning it has a chance to be resisted by units that have high debuff resist, notably the Jester, the Antiquarian, and the Occultist, 3 of the dodgiest units in the game. So, it kind of fails at what it does, because, okay, so, picture this. Your opponent is using an Occultist with a Monkey's Paw. I think this has pretty good accuracy, if I recall correctly. Don't quote me on this. And you're like, okay, I don't have a Bounty Hunter for whatever reason, and I want to reduce his dodge, so I'll use this mark. Good luck, because it's only a 30% chance to land that debuff on that Occultist, because Occultist has 70% debuff. Jester has 55% debuff resist, so that's... Honestly, this move would be better if it had a higher debuff chance, but it isn't that good. And plus, it's an Arbalist turn. You want to have the most impact you can, so... yeah, it's not that good. But it is a mark, and it does last for 4 rounds, so I'll give it that. Bowler. Bowler's an A tier move. Is it better than Slam? Probably not better than Slam. Is it better than Guard? Yes, it's probably better than Guard. It pretty much does exactly what it says on the tin. Well, it actually has a very low chance to knock back. It's only like 80%, so even characters with 0 knockback resist can resist it. And, yeah, it moves the Arbalist backwards. It does 50% damage to 2 units, so it's pretty good. It has decent crit rate, so if you're using Piercing Bowlers, or... no, it's Piercing Quarrel. Pretty good, pretty good. If you're running weighted bowlers, you can get the unit in slot 3 to be moved to slot 1, which is a pretty sneaky way to do it. But it's fine. It's a pretty good move. It is basically what brings the Arbalist from trash tier to pretty much god tier, because without this move, Arbalist would probably suck, just because you'd require other units to constantly move her to the back line. Blind Fire, this is an F tier skill in the first one. So what this does is it has 80 accuracy, meaning it's one of the least accurate skills in Butcher's Circus. It's a random target. Sure, it ignores stealth. If, you know, you get the 1 in 4 and you actually hit the unit with stealth. And does it do anything else? No. It can be used in the front ranks, but again, so can Bowler. Like, if Bowler didn't exist, people may use this, but no. Just no. This is an awful skill that, rightfully, no one should use this. Bandage. Bandage is a pretty good skill. Actually has very good healing. I'll put that... Yeah, it's definitely no... You know, Vapors. It removes bleed, and bleed is very problematic in Butcher's Circus, especially, like, if you're facing a good old buddy old pal Flagellant. Flagellant can hit you with some pretty deadly moves, especially Exsanguinate, and this can just remove it easily, when, you know, just like that. This also removes the bleed from Caltrops, meaning this is a potentially, like, 50-point heal if you really want to stretch, which the game's not going to last for that long, but removing 2 points of... That's effectively like having a constant 1 stack of regen buff, almost. So, I find a lot of people who run Arbalest don't cure the bleed from Caltrops, and to them I say, what is wrong with you? Like, remove that bleed. It's going to trickle down for the rest of the fight unless you remove it. Like, sure, you don't need to remove it immediately, but, you know, you've got to do it sometime, right? Also, yeah, it has some good synergy with Medic's Full Plate, which is, it brings it up to pretty much consistent 12 heals, which are pretty good. Rallying Flair, aka the reason you run Arbalest and not Musketeer, because you can clear stuns with this. This is the only way to, like, counterplay stuns in this game, which is very sad that the Arbalest has this move. Like, Arbalest was good enough already, even if she didn't have this. The only thing that would change if she didn't have this is Musketeer would probably be used. Actually, does Musketeer's ranging shot cure debuffs? I'm not sure. It might. I don't think so, actually, no. So, this cures debuffs, so it beats Old Man Yells at Cloud strategy. This cures stuns, so it beats Crusader. This does a lot of things. It also removes stealth, of course, if the unit with stealth doesn't dodge. Cough, cough, Grave Robber. But yeah, this is a really good move. I'd say it's... You definitely, if you're running Arbalest, you'd be using it more than Bowler in the right situation. Honestly, it really depends on the comp though, because if your opponent's not running stuns or debuffs and they're running just like damage over time, then this does nothing. But it is a very valid tech option, and it's a staple move. Just because a move is a staple move though doesn't make it good. Like, let's see, like, Cry Havoc, for instance. Cry Havoc is a very useful skill against stress comps. That doesn't mean it's a very good skill by default, though. Like, there's a good chance that this move just does nothing. Probably because Darkest Dungeon is more proactive than it is reactive, and it will always be like that. Collect Bounty. Collect Bounty is fine. It is basically the sniper shot for Bounty Hunter, and that's about it. There's really nothing else to say. It doesn't have an extra crit, it just does like plus 90% damage versus marked. It's fairly decent. Bounty Hunter has good mark support, but it's pretty average. You know what, no, it's not as good as Dodge Vapors. It just doesn't do enough. Like, there's better moves to run from Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter Mark, however, is pretty good. Bounty Hunter Mark removes Deathblow resist on its debuff, so that makes it better than the Arbalists, because while removing dodge can be useful against certain enemies, removing Deathblow resist is pretty good, but usually you're going to be using Come Hither. But if you need to mark a unit that isn't in the back, like, multiple times, like, people such as me have developed comps that beat the stupid Come Hither sniper shot combo by specific party positioning, and that completely kind of gets thrown out the window by Bounty Hunter being able to mark any unit, which, quite frankly, Come Hither only hits rank 4, but we'll get on that in a second. So, this move it's pretty good. I'd say it's a C-grade move. Put it above Absolution, because you will want to use this if you're running Bounty Hunter. Come Hither. Come Hither is the move that you use when you use Bounty Hunter, because it's a pull 2, it's a mark for a bit, and it just generally has very good accuracy, like 120 or something. There's very low chance of this actually missing. So you can go up. You know what, honestly, I'll put Come Hither. No. Put it here. The only problem with Come Hither is that if you're wanting to use Arbalest to combo with this, you're going to need to hit rank 4. Rank 4 is the only rank that works because you'll be pulling 2, and unless that pull fails, that unit is going to slot 2. Meaning, that's the only rank the Arbalest can hit, because Arbalest can't hit rank 1. Take note of that. So, there is counterplay to this. You can place a Highwayman in rank 1 and point blank shot after they get pulled, so Arbalest can't get a shot in. You can have a unit that has a move forward 1 skill in slot 4, so that they can move forward 1 and not be hit by that same sniper bullshit. I use Highwayman with a Duelist Advance, for instance. It works very well. But yeah, it also lasts only 2 rounds, so it's a bit weaker in terms of duration than everything else, so yeah, it's fine, I guess. Uppercut. Uppercut is a very... I'd say it's a bit of a middle-of-the-road skill. It has very good potential. Knocking back units is very good, especially with a unit like Bounty Hunter who has this synergy with such things. So, did I really place this move that high? Jeez. Maybe I should organize these later on, but yeah. I'd say Uppercut it's fairly good. Usually there's better things for the Bounty Hunter to run though, but the days can be very useful if you need to finish off a potentially weakened enemy that has like a self-heal. Like, Flagellant kind of suffers from this if you can get him, like, if Flagellant takes his turn before Bounty Hunter can uppercut him, and then next round Bounty Hunter can go first, or whatever rank it takes, whatever round it takes to hit the Flagellant on Death's Door and kill him really easily, provided that he wasn't sent to Brazil, aka rank 4. So, this is a pretty good skill. Recommend trying it out, but you definitely need, like, grappling mitts, plus the net if you want to get this to work properly. And then again, do you really want to take off the finisher for that? I don't know. Oh boy, Flashbang. Flashbang is D tier, because Flashbang just doesn't do enough. It's a move skill, and it debuffs dodge. It doesn't even daze. At least I don't think this one does. And yeah, this just doesn't do enough. Like, it's a shuffle, meaning that potentially you can knock a backliner into the very front rank, but then again, you have just as much chance of pulling them by 1, doing very little. Like, you use this on an Arbalest, you're going to either high roll them to rank 1, mid roll them to rank 2, or low roll them and keep them in rank 3. And then you can just miss the thing, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you're running double move trinket. And you can't hit rank 1 with this, if I recall correctly, so you're using it on one of the midliners or the backliners, and quite frankly, if you want to get backliners to the front line, run Come Hither. If you want to get front lines to the back, run Uppercut. Just don't use this. It debuffs dodge, so it's not very useful. It doesn't even do any damage. Like, doing 1 damage would be good, because it could at least proc Death's Door. Like, Come Hither. Everyone runs finisher on the Bounty Hunter, and Come Hither can be used to finish off limping opponents on Death's Door, because it's just a 50-50 chance to kill, usually. So, yeah, don't run Flashbang. You know what? No, you can put this in F tier, because it just does nothing. Finish him. This is an S tier skill. I'd say it's... Actually, is it better than Sniper Shot? You know what? Actually, let's put Abomination Transform above Finish Him, but below Sniper Shot. So, Finish Him, it has decent accuracy at 90, which, okay, not really that great, but it can hit up to rank 3 from far away as rank 3, meaning it has excellent range. It's a melee skill, so if you care about melee synergy, you have that. And that plus 50% death blow chance, combined with the finisher, it just kills everyone except for Flagellant guaranteed. Or a unit that has like a trinket or a take cover buff. This is one of the reasons why you run Bounty Hunter, because it's just that good. Like, seriously, do I need to say more about this skill? It's amazing. The meta's already been discovered. Bounty Hunter with this is the kill guy. This is one of the reasons why there's such a difference between going first in Butcher Circus and going second, because if you can go first, like, at the start of the game you either go first or second. If you're going first, that means that you can set up your turns, so that since you're getting the first turn, you get to choose between your 4 characters, meaning that you can get the Bounty Hunter to go first consistently on a new round, and just kill someone before they have a chance to react with a proper unit. That's why moves like this are why going first and second is so one-sided, because that 15 dodge at turn 1 really doesn't matter. Caltrops. Actually a really good skill, but I don't see many people running it. It is very useful at getting by guards, like on marked units, if you have like extra damage to make up for, like, let's say Man-at-Arms guards someone. Caltrops can still roll 0 on a marked unit just because that 30% protection is there and is very annoying. But if you have like plus damage versus marks, then you can like run this. It's one of the reasons why people run Bounty Notice, just because they can finish off limping opponents. It's still only 50-50, but it is 2 points of bleed per round to every enemy character. You know what I said for Festering Vapors? Think about that, but can't be stacked. The biggest downside to this move is that you only get one use of it, so you're taking up a move slot to use Caltrops once. And Caltrops is still a very good move. If you can call back to the Mikefield tournament, I don't know if you can, but I played a match in which Caltrops carried me because my Bounty Hunter pretty much died on turn 1, and I was able to stall out the entire game, just letting Caltrops whittle away my opponents through very slow stalling build, which does work. It may be a bit boring for character people, but it is a fairly good skill. The only downside is that, well, it is a bit slow, and Bounty Hunter doesn't have great synergy with it. So I'll put it in B tier. It's better than Get Down or Take Cover, but I wouldn't say it's better than the Guard. Smite. Smite is Smite. It does good damage. That's about it. Yeah, it's better than Collect Bounty, because Crusader just has higher base damage. It actually synergizes with Sacred Blade's extra damage dealt. But the problem is, if you're running Smite, there's better moves. Like, you'd run Stunning Blow, usually. Just run Stunning Blow. Zealous is actually a very good move. It applies a total of 40 stress, which is pretty good for a stress move. It also applies pretty good damage at only minus 33%. So you're dealing like a total of 120 damage to 2 units total. It can crit, giving Crusader 15% protection, which is one of the better crit buffs, because it makes it so that he doesn't have effectively 0 protection against Piercing Quarrel. So this is honestly a really good move, hampered by the fact that Crusader has Stunning Blow, which is just a stupid move in general. So, yeah, this is a good move. It's a bit below Slam because it's not disruptive, but if Crusader didn't have Stunning Blow, you'd see everyone running Zealous Accusation. It's just that good. Stunning Blow, of course, being the, this is an S tier move, just because Crusader has good damage. This is only like minus 50% damage, so this regularly hits like 5 to 9 by default, and then you add Sacred Blade's extra damage, putting this at like, what, potentially like 7 to 11, if that's how the rounding works on that move. I'm not sure. Basically, you can hit for like crits of 16 with this thing. It's stupid. And of course, this is perhaps the most polarizing move in Butcher's Circus. Like, never before have I seen a game revolve around a single move this much. Like, half the comps that you run into in Butcher's Circus are based around Stunning Blow existing. Like, the fact that Crusader has, like, no stun resist just makes it so that Crusader's Stunning Blow other Crusader is pretty much the de facto thing that happens in high-ranking moves. Or, not high-ranking moves, high-ranking comps. Which is, it's just kind of sad that this move exists, because it's just, like, why? This move is way too powerful. If this had, like, negative 75% damage, then I'd say, okay, it's good, but it doesn't progress the fight that much, so it's just a stalling tool. But no, the damage is good enough. I've seen people run Crushed Hemlock on Crusader with Sacred Blade, because that's just an extra 4 damage you can deal with Sacred Blade. Sure, maybe the stun skill chance of Brass Knuckles combined with this is probably better. Maybe you want the extra damage, death blow chance, and accuracy of the Writ of Execution, which is very viable. But yeah, Sacred Blade, no, Sacred Blade, Stun is... It's definitely one of the weaker of the S tier skills, but it is still S tier because stunning is just amazing. Bulwark of Light! Bulwark of Light is actually really good. I don't actually know where to put this though, because... Okay, Bulwark of Light, very good stall tool. If your opponent is running direct damage, it is very powerful. If your opponent is not running direct damage and is running damage over time, it can still be good because 20% protection can be enough to make a low roll hit for 0, meaning that you cannot be hit on... Well, you can't be killed on Death's Door, if you're lucky. So, where do we put this? Well, it is a fight-long buff. You need to take 1 turn to do it. Meaning, turn 1, you can put this up, and opponent Crusader will probably, like, stun you to death. But you've already gotten the buff, and it puts the Crusader on 35% protection, combine this with any protection trinket, and he's hard to kill. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Nah, it's below Slam. Slam is probably going to move up later on in this list. But, until then, pretty good. Okay, so, Battle Heal, aka Rally to the Flame. It heals someone 4 to 6 and then heals the Crusader for 4. Basically, this is the get 2 units off Death's Door move. It's the move that... It's basically a self-heal, but it also heals another unit and it kills debuffs. So, it's pretty decent. You can use a trinket to buff it up, but that's not really necessary. It's just generally a good skill. I'd say it's better than Uppercut, considering you can use it from any rank. But yeah, it's a staple move. Definitely run this one. Like, I've actually lost games because I forgot to have this equipped because I was running a certain stupid build, but yeah, it's good. Holy Lance. High damage, high crit, move forward, fixed position. What more can you ask from a move like this? Like, this is a definite A tier move. So, 11, or was it 10.5? Crit. That's a really good amount. On Crusader's damage, that's fantastic. Good chance of giving him the plus 15% protection buff. Fixes position. What more do you really need from a skill? That's all that can be said. Like, Holy Lance is amazing. The only problem is its accuracy may be a little low at 95, but that's pretty much bog standard Butcher's Circus, and you can run trinkets to buff this up. Benefits from Sacred Blade, it's a melee skill, etc, etc. Oh boy. What's the name of this move? Inspiring Cry. Yeah, this is a D tier move. I've wanted this move to work so badly. I've tried multiple builds to try and get it to work. It just doesn't work because 25 stress healing isn't enough. That's less than a weakening curse. It's less than a panic darts. And sure, the virtue chance is good, but unless you roll virtue, that's effectively nothing. So, it's a gamble move, but the chance of virtue isn't even that good unless you're running full virtue comp. And even then, full virtue comp loses to pretty much anything that isn't stress. Like, it loses to damage over time, it loses to direct damage, it loses to mark. It's just not good enough. This move needs some buff. Even with its respective trinket that buffs it up to 33, that isn't good. Even Brass Bugle, that's like 37 or 38.5, or whatever. Abomination, no, not Abomination, Flagellant. Punish. Punish is an average skill. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. B tier because you need Punish. AKA, you just need it in case you get down to the last character being the Flagellant and you run out of Exsanguinates. Only reason you really run it. Because most of the time you're going to be running Rain of Sorrows instead. This is a great move. You know what? I'd say it's high A tier. It's probably the best A tier move that I'd say isn't S tier. God, I hate Tier Maker. It just controls like arse. So, you run Crushed Hemlock, or just basically anything, and you use Rain of Sorrows. I'd like to mention that this is the Flagellant's only AoE move, and since Flagellant gains 40% damage and 7 crit when falling below 40% health, which is something a lot of people ignore, that 7 crit means that you can hit both the backliners, most likely score a crit and increase the Flagellant's bleed chance, meaning that you can either use another Rain of Sorrows, or you can Exsanguinate like a Crusader with extra bleed skill chance. With no bleed trinkets against a default Crusader, Exsanguinate then has a 50-50% chance to land a bleed. Doesn't sound that good, but we're talking about the Crusader, the character that has the most bleed resist in the game. So, yep, Rain of Sorrows, really good move. Exsanguinate's a very good move. It does suffer from very low accuracy at 85, and that kind of sucks when you're using a character that's... Like, if this move does not land, Flagellant might as well just die instantly. Like, if this could have a constition... No, that's not the word, but you get the point. If this move does not hit, Flagellant dies, and it would essentially be the same. So it is very powerful. It allows the Flagellant to solo, like, enemy teams in the late game, potentially. But the fact that it has only 85 accuracy kind of sucks. Flagellant only gets +5 accuracy on Death's Door, bringing this up to 90, which is less than most skills. So, unless you're running Jester or Accuracy Trinket like the Crown of Thorns, then this move, it's not fantastic. Reclaim. This is a very tricky move to use against slower comps or against comps that really don't want to hit the Flagellant, aka moves that... Any comp that doesn't have AoE. This is actually pretty good. I've tried this before with my Paper Shredder comp. It does work fairly fine. It allows the Flagellant to get to low health so he can use his healing moves better. This is a standard support skill. I wouldn't say this is fantastic though, because it is a lot of regen, but it is a lot of bleed, and it can put him in a hole. So I'll say it's the top of C tier. I'm probably going to get reprimanded for this, but it's a fair enough skill. There is reason to run it, but the only problem is that Flagellant has such good other skills that it's just... it gets outclassed very easily. One of which being Redeem. Redeem is another amazing skill. Like, the 4 skills that most people run are Punish, Reign of Sorrows, Exsanguinate, and Redeem for good reason. Redeem is a big heal. It's better than Caltrops. I'd say this is the bottom of B tier, because it's not an A tier skill, because it is dependent on the Flagellant being at low health. Meaning that he is vulnerable to, like, stunning when he's at low health and you can't use it. But yeah, this is a big heal, especially in combination with the extra healing you get from something like Gauntlet of Absolution. And if it crits, it essentially fully heals whatever it was used on. Man-at-Arms can get like +50 healing from this, go from Death's Door to full health. It's a crazy skill that can crazy high roll, so yeah, very good. The only problem is that usually you want to attack with the Flagellant when he's got his buffs, but still, if you're running a control comp, which Flagellant can run very well control, because he does apply damage over time constantly, it's a very good skill. Oh boy, Endure. Endure is a D tier skill. I know that, you know what, it's probably the best of the D tier skills. I've said that a lot about Flagellant's moves. It's like usually the best of the bad, or the high tier. But that's just kind of the thing with the Flagellant, so embarrassingly enough, I've lost to one enemy comp that did use Endure. They combined the minus stress taken from the Numbing Incense and Bolster and Gauntlet of Absolution, and basically tried to absorb all the stress from their team through this. It was a very janky comp, but it beat me because I don't even know what I was running. I was probably just used a very bad comp for that. They didn't even run Exsanguinate or Redeem though, so I don't even know what comp that was. But yeah, it's not that good. There are other skills that do it better. Honestly, for 30 stress heal, it's probably worse than this, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt, considering the fact that I did lose to it that one time. So yeah, it's something, I guess. Plus, you can use Brass Bugle and it takes up to 45, which isn't bad. Much better than this piece of garbage. Oh boy, Suffer. Suffer is a very, very polarizing one, as it has a lot of potential. It does remove Mark. It transfers Bleed and Blight too. So if you're running against a Mark comp, this is an option, I guess. But it's not a very good option. You know what, I'll put it in C tier. You can go about here. It's a very niche tech option, but it does something. It does buff Deathblow resist, but against Mark comps, usually Mark comps are running Abomination. No, not Abomination. They'll be running Bounty Hunter with Finisher and Finish Him, meaning that even if you cap Deathblow resist at 75%, no, not 75, 95%, there's still only a 20% chance to resist that death. Pick to the Face, Grave Robber skill. I've seen people not run Pick to the Face and they die because they have the Grave Robber die last. So this is a staple skill merely because Grave Robber has really nothing else she can use in slot 1. Yeah, she actually pretty much has nothing else she can use in slot 1 aside from, like, Toxin Trickery or Shadow Fade, and Shadow Fade doesn't work if there's, like, no corpses, so, yeah. It's a standard skill. It does ignore armor, but then again, Grave Robber has some pretty bad damage. I'll put it above Suppressing Fire. It's not bad. You know what? Suppressing Fire, go down below Exsanguinate. You're not that good. Lunge, aka, put someone on death's door on turn 1. No, that's Rage. But Lunge can actually hit very reliably. Lunge is very good if you have a dancing comp. It does a lot of damage. It's got high crit. It benefits from Shadow Fade the most because it's a percentage buff on high base damage, because that's what Lunge does. So, Lunge, it's high B, I guess. You definitely can make a build out of it, but it's a fairly aggressive move, but Grave Robber is probably better doing something else. Flashing Daggers. Flashing Daggers is actually really good, considering that it has very good synergy with Leather Bandolier. Since Leather Bandolier gives dodge, and this gives crit, you can use... Actually, no, Leather Bandolier gives dodge and crit. You can use this, hit 2 units, most likely score a crit, do some serious damage, and get plus 10 dodge crit bonus. Meaning you get more dodge buff than the Monkey's Paw, which is amazing, especially if you're running Monkey's Paw along with this. And this also has some pretty good accuracy, if I remember, like 100, 105, maybe even 110. Not that sure, but it's good enough. So, it's better than Zealous, but it's not better than Bulwark of Light. Shadow Fade. Shadow Fade is a very tricky move because it requires you to set up your comp around it. It is very clumsy and clunky, but it has some good synergy, especially with Lunge. You can take down like a full health target to Death's Door with it. It moves the Grave Robber backwards, it puts her in stealth, pretty much like the Antiquarian does. Only lasts 1 turn and can be flared away, but as I've said before, Grave Robber has good dodge, and if you dodge a de-stealth move while you're in stealth, you do not get de-stealthed. So, it's good. It's better than these moves. I would say, let's put it here next to Lunge, because you really wouldn't use one without the other. Parrying Dagger. Extra damage versus marked. High crit. That's about it. There's not much else this move does. You can hit the back ranks, but... like, nobody runs this move. There's better moves to run if you're... Like, has anyone actually made a build around using this move in combination with Mark? And to those people, have you tried using Pistol Shot instead? Panic Darts. Panic Darts is a lot of Blight. It's 4 points of Blight for 4 rounds, meaning that's 16 points of Blight. It's 30 stress. It's 140% Blight skill chance, meaning that there's a very little chance you actually miss this on anyone. Like, pretty much the only characters that can resist this are the Grave Robber herself, the Abomination, and the Plague Doctor, but we don't talk about Plague Doctor. This is a very good move. I'd say it's a bit better than Bowler. You know what, it's probably... No, it's not better than Flair. No. It's a good move. It's what most people run Grave Robber around. I mean, if this crits, which it does have like a high crit, it's like 16.5 crit. It does only have 95 accuracy, so you most likely run Satchel of Dirty Tricks or something like that. But it's a very good move. Recommended. Toxin Trickery. This is also used with dodge builds. It removes bleeds, blights, debuffs, and that's about it. It's pretty good, actually, but the problem is it's one of those one use per battle moves. And on a Cure Bleed / Blight, what moves that would be used in rank 1 can you actually, like, cure with that? Maybe a Crushed Hemlock, like a Rain of Sorrows, maybe a Caltrops. It's worse than, You know what, I'll put this in C tier just because it takes up a turn in the Grave Robber, and quite frankly, if you're running dodge build, you probably don't need this. You probably want to actually do some damage. But yeah, it's okay. Wicked Hack. Wicked Hack is, quite frankly, Wicked Hack is one of the worst skills in the game. I said worse, not worst. Because Wicked Hack has extra death blow chance. But that's about it. There's, like... Hellion is just a mess of a character. Like, you run this because you need to hit characters late game with damage, but that's the only reason to. I'd say it's in C tier. It's below Rage. It's just disappointing. Iron Swan is even worse, because, surprisingly enough, when you have a character that has, like, no move resist, have a move that only works in rank 1, and only hits rank 4, that's fucking situational to the maximum. Like, nobody runs Iron Swan because it's so easy to displace the Hellion, and if you don't, this only hits rank 4. Like, sure, you want to hit rank 4, but wouldn't you rather move rank 4 to the front rank so you can hit them with some serious damage? Or wouldn't you rather do, like, a Reign of Sorrows or some Holy Alliance garbage? Like, moving the Crusader to the back lines is much easier than keeping the Hellion in the front ranks. Like, seriously? This move needed a buff. Like, if this were usable in the front 2 ranks and hit one of the back 2 ranks, then that's some serious thing. It does have plus 40% death blow chance, but since when is that going to come into effect? Also, its accuracy is kind of arse. That's just part of the course with Hellion. Barbaric Yorp. Or Terrifying Yorp in this case, because it's Butcher's Circus. Honestly, a pretty good move. I'd put it about here. It does a lot of stress at 20 each. Has high accuracy at 110, or was it 120? It was one of them. It's, at any rate, very high accuracy. It debuffs accuracy at 15 points for 3 rounds. And it's a melee skill, so you can apply Crushed Hemlock with it, which is mostly how I use it. Like, I do use Hellion in one of my comps, my best comp, and by running Hellion in the front ranks with Crushed Hemlock and Eerie Eye, you can pretty much guarantee a Blight and debuff to the front 2 units. Doesn't sound like much, but if you keep using this and the Hellion doesn't get displaced to the back ranks, which there is reason to not displace her, you can stack up those minus accuracy debuffs, and characters with lower accuracy, like, the Man-at-Arms can get out-shouted with this just because Bellow's accuracy just goes below what it needs to actually hit anyone worthwhile. And sure, the Hellion doesn't have great dodge, it's average at best. But yeah, this is enough to make it so that Bellowbot loses to Yorpbot. If it bleeds, it won't bleed, trust me. This is, like, oh my god. If it bleeds just shows exactly what is wrong with the Hellion. Like, this is a D tier skill. Why? This has 80 accuracy, or 85 accuracy, one of them. It is absolute garbage. It's as if Red Hook decided, you know what, let's base the balance of these bleed skills around the Bleeding Hairpin, or the Razor Hairpin, because Razor Hairpin, plus 20 bleed skill chance, plus 10 accuracy, really good if it weren't tied to the Hellion. Like, if that were Flagellant Trinket, then my god, those moves would be S tier. Like, Flagellant would fucking raise up, like, great magnitudes in power. But no, it's on Hellion, where her attacks have, like, no accuracy, and her bleed skill needs that specific trinket, otherwise it's garbage, so never run this move like I've tried. Like, with Battle Ballad and Razor Hairpin, it goes to 110 accuracy, which is decent, but still, if you're investing plus 30 accuracy, you'd expect to be able to hit the fucking Jester. But no, you have still pretty garbage accuracy at that. This move makes me so mad, because we'll get into this later on. Breakthrough. Breakthrough is an amazing skill. The only downside is that it dazes the Hellion. How good is it? Well, it's only minus 50% damage, so it's pretty high damage. It's a melee skill, it hits 3 ranks, it has positive crit rate on a character that has generally good crit rate. This is a really good skill. I'd say it's better than Come Hither, but it's dragged down by the fact that it's a Hellion skill. So what you do is, I mentioned before there's a reason not to displace the Hellion from rank 1. That's because she can use Breakthrough in combination with Crushed Hemlock. That's an extra, like, total of 12 points of damage on spread throughout enemy characters. But the most damage comes from the attack itself. So it fixes the Hellion's position, it does daze her though. It applies Blight, it does damage. It's generally a very good skill in AoE builds, and you can flex between stress and base damage. I mean, usually you'll want to do both because it's a 2-pronged attack, meaning that if they're focusing on stress, they won't have time to deal with the damage, but yeah, it's pretty good. Ugh. Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush is... it's okay. It's not as good as I'd like it to be because it has a very, very low heal. Like, if you're using this, you're pretty much just using it to remove blights and bleeds, which the Hellion has very low resistance to, so if you use this and then you get hit by, like, even a punish, you're going to be back on death's door, so... did I just say it was good? Because I meant, no, it's bad! Okay, fine, there. That's as high as you're going to get. Bleed Out. Bleed Out is an amazing skill, dragged down by the fact that, yes, it also has 80 accuracy. Unlike if it bleeds, though, Bleed Out does incredible damage. It can potentially kill, like, a full health character in one hit if it lands in a crit. It has high crit rate, it has high bleed skill chance. Well, not bleed skill chance, but high bleed at, like, 5 points for 3 rounds. Or was it 5 for 5? It's a lot of bleed either way. And it applies a negative death blow debuff if that lands. So you can run Eerie Eye plus good old buddy old pal Razor Hairpin, get this up to 100 accuracy. That may be the only reason to ever use these skills, but once again, it is a move that has like no accuracy, so I'll put it here. No, actually no. Put that there. Yeah, look, that's looking a bit better. So that's where it goes here. I did make a video called Bleed Out is an amazing skill. I'd recommend watching that if you have not, but it shows off exactly what this can do. It also showed off exactly what it can't do. Well, at least I'm thankful that unlike the base game, it can actually hit rank 2, so yeah. Hounds Rush. And Hounds Rush it's an okay move. There's really nothing else to say about it. It's a basic attack, can't be used in rank 1. So, yeah. It's pretty average. It has decent accuracy. It applies a bleed along with doing damage, so... I'd say it's, is it better than Pick to the Face? Probably. Yeah, put it below Punish. Hounds Harry. S tier. You know what? Better than, Sniper Shot. I'm on the fence whether this is better than Festering Vapors or not, because it does have better accuracy and better crit. And it's on the Houndmaster, but this is all that Houndmaster really does. So, Hounds Harry, do I need to say more? It applies, like, 12 stress per character, so that's a total of 48 stress if it hits everyone. 2 points of bleed for 3 rounds at 110 base, meaning it's better chance than Festering Vapors by default. It has the attack whistle, which applies plus 12 accuracy and plus 20% bleed skill chance, so even against the Crusader, you have a more chance to bleed than not. And just... it's a crazy move. This is one of the reasons why riposts are so popular in Butcher's Circus, is because that you do this, and you don't even have a good chance to hit the Houndmaster, because he's a fairly dodgy unit. But Hounds Harry is just really that good of a skill. Target Whistle, it's a mark. I'd say it's better than the Arbalist's one. You know what? No, it's better than the Bounty Hunter's one, but not by much. Reducing protection is something that you will see used against the Crusader, but usually Arbalists and characters just run the Piercing Quarrel. So, yeah, it's alright. Cry Havoc. Doesn't particularly do anything, but for what it does more than these stress healing moves. It is a potential high stress heal at 15 points for every character on a chance, which I don't quite know because I don't use Houndmaster for stress stealing, because it's better to be proactive than reactive. I'll put it above Collect Bounty. You know what, I'll put it above Smite, because Smite's not that good of a move. I'm surprised I put it B tier, but... yeah. Guard Dog. Guard Dog is a really good move. It lasts more than 1 round, thankfully. Oh, I'm getting gas from my drink that I'm having. But yeah, it applies like 20 dodge, it has synergy with some good trinkets, it allows the Houndmaster to dodge tank in dodge tank builds. Quite frankly, Houndmaster can get down to actually making you have that 5 accuracy. So, this is a very good skill. Below Slam, but still placing high on the list. Houndmaster's Regen, aka heal or lick wounds or whatever. You get the point. It heals. It applies regen. it's good. It keeps the Houndmaster off death's door, unlike other heals. So, yeah, it does have a limited uses, but then again, so do pretty much all self-heals that only self-heal. So, it's good. Put it between Shadow Fade and Lunge. And we have the Billy Club, aka the Blackjack. It's a stun. It hits up to rank 2. This is pretty average for a stun move, but then again, it is a stun move as well. One of the reasons why you don't want to pull the Houndmaster. In fact, people run Houndmaster on rank 2 just to use this, and have access to pretty much the Houndmaster's whole arsenal. It's fine, I guess. If you're running a stun move, you probably want to use someone else, but it is a nice backup plan to have, considering how stuns are very powerful. Only problem is that Houndmaster doesn't have his distinct stun trinket. I am very thankful for that, otherwise we'd probably see more stuns in Butcher's Circus. So, I'll put it in A tier because it is a stun move, but yeah. Wicked Slice. This is a very good move, it has extra death blow resist, it's a melee skill on Highwayman, meaning it has synergy with trinkets. It is just a generally very good skill. It's collect bounty, but better, considering it's on a better unit for damage dealing, or at least flat damage dealing. Or versatile damage dealing. Basically, Highwayman does damage, and that's what he does. So, it's better than Pick to the Face because it does more damage. It does have a plus damage modifier. It's better than... Is it better than Punish, though? No, I'll say it's just under Punish. Pistol Shot. There's a reason you can run ranged Highwaymen and use him in the back rank. It's mostly because Pistol Shot surprisingly high damage with a high crit rate, and you can use the Flask of Gunpowder if you feel like playing dangerously, and you are absolutely sure that Highwayman is going to stay in the bank ranks. But yeah, Pistol Shot, it's a pretty good move. It's better than Thrown Dagger. It has extra damage versus marks, such as it is. And we'll put it about here, because it's not terribly good, but it's good enough. Point Blank Shot does a lot of damage to rank 1, moves the Highwayman back for shuffle comps, moves him out of rank 1 after you combo with Duelist Advance. It's a fine skill. It does comparable damage to Lunge in that faction, but a bit less. It's a staple move, but I wouldn't say it's a good staple move in particular. It's good enough though. It has high death blow chance. One of the reasons why you need to kill Highwayman at some point. Grapeshot Blast. Honestly, Grapeshot Blast gets a bad rap. Like, I see nobody use Grapeshot Blast, but it does a surprising amount of damage. With Tracking Shot, it does good crit. It does have low accuracy at 80, but there is ways to remedy this. And it allows the Highwayman to play a stress roll, because it is 15 stress per character. That's a 45 stress total. That's comparable to Hounds Harry. And considering that usually the Highwayman's going to have more crit than Hounds Harry, then it's good. The only problem is you don't want to use this every turn, considering that you want to be using Duelist Advance every other turn. So, it's good. I'd honestly say this is an A tier skill. It's above Zealous, it's above Flashing Daggers, above... No, I'd say it's below Guard Dog. But yeah, that's a good place for Grapeshot Blast. If you haven't tried Grapeshot Blast with just like Tracking Shot, then Grapeshot Blast to your heart's content, it actually works very well because it's a two-pronged attack through, you know, melee, no, not melee, damage and stress. So it does well. Tracking Shot, aka Vendetta, this is a good move. It is, of course, usually with these one-turn things, you have to weigh, okay, is this worth taking just, like, 3 skills and this? But for this one, yes, because that's a huge buff. It's 30% damage. It is 12, or was it 12 or 10 accuracy? It's like 8 crit. It's just a bonkers move. And it makes him ignore stealth, which doesn't come up often, but if you're against an Antiquarian late game, then you can, like, stab her a little while she's in stealth. Or you can even hit Grave Robber. Putting Grave Robber to Death's Door will hamper her reasons to come out of stealth. Meaning you can delay Lunge. So yeah, it's a good move. Duelist Advance, obviously S tier, nobody's fighting that. Just because riposte's a very good action economy, it beats AoE moves such as Hounds Harry. Like, I've made the video, respect the Highwayman's riposte, because it does so much damage, especially with Tracking Shot in play. of course, going to refer to this as tracking shot for the whole video, but yeah. Very good move. Very versatile. You can use it from any rank, and you can hit up to rank 3. The only problem is you can't use it in rank 1, but then again, does he really need to? Not really. And you can combo it with other plus move forward skills. So, yep. Very good move. Allows you to attack on the enemy's turn, and even if you stun the Highwayman, he is going to riposte on the unit that stunned him. So, yeah. Be a bit careful. But then again, Highwayman is very, very versatile. Oh, scroll down a little. Didn't mean to do that. Going to need to soon, though. So, Open Vein. This is one of the reasons why I'm very angry at Bleed Out existing, because this has like 100 accuracy, it does the same amount of bleed, it does roughly the same amount of damage, and it's on Highwayman, which is a better unit than Hellion. So like, how can you compare these two moves? Not really, because, okay, so I'm going to move this later, this isn't its final position, but so if it bleeds, can be used from as far back as rank 3, so can Open Vein. If it bleeds, hits rank 2 and 3, this hits rank 1 and 2, so that's a bit range better, or better, except for this one's better late game, if there's only one character left. And this has just, it has 20 less accuracy, and you may say, oh, the Razor Hairpin exists, so that's a benefit over Open Vein. But Highwayman has Parrying Dagger, which increases accuracy by only 5. Sure, but it increases bleed chance by 30, meaning there's a higher chance to bleed than through Razor Hairpin. So, like, oh my god, this move makes me so mad. Like, why is it so bad compared to moves like this? Why would you ever use this when you have this at your disposal? It's so terrible. Like, why? Is it better than... Okay, first I need to compare these two. So, this one does bleed. 4 points of bleed for 3 rounds. This one does have extra death blow chance, though. I'd say that Open Vein isn't terribly good compared to some of the other damage over time moves. Like, it's usually worse than Punish. It can be used in the back ranks, but bleed can be cured easier. So, I'll put it below Rake. It's decent, but there's better moves for doing its job. Why is this here again? What is... Oh wait, no, this is Dirk Stab. I thought this was a... Yeah. They have the same art for some reason. Like, that's a thing that Dark Dungeon does a lot. But yeah, this is Dirk Stab. Dirk Stab is a fine melee move. It ignores guard, which is a lot more applicable than normal. It has extra death blow chance. I'd say it's a solid B tier move. It does move the Jester forwards to set up Finale. It's generally a very good skill. So, yeah, it's also a staple move because it's one of the only ways the Jester can reach the front line without manually moving. Harvest. Harvest is a good move. It is... Harvest is a bit too good of a move, if you ask me. So, it only has 85 accuracy, but it's on the Jester who can Battle Ballads, just cure that problem straight up. 4 points of bleed for 3 rounds, so... Once again, it is better than... Just... Why? Why is it better than if it bleeds? Because it applies it to 2 enemies as well, instead of just 1. It buffs Finale like everything the Jester does, but that's part of the course. Sure, he can only use it in slots 2 and 3, where Hellion can use this in slot 1. But the thing is that if Jester is in slot 1, he has bigger problems. Or he's going to use Finale and instantly kill someone, so... Harvest just does it just does everything. Everything you need from a enemy or ally, it does it. Finale, S tier, obviously. Like, is it better than... Oh, actually, you know what? We'll place this at the highest because it is the only move that can remove Death Blow resist effectively. There is a big flaw if you do not kill with this, but usually it has enough to. And Jester has very high crit, meaning that if, you know, you don't have enough damage potentially, you can score a crit and then kill, which is very risky. But if you're running Battle Ballad, that grants extra crit to it as well. Same with Inspiring Tune. But, yep, Finale, it's just a great move. There's a reason why people focus the Jester first, and it's because of this. You either focus the Jester first, or you run a stress comp and you focus the Jester last. You just let him, like, you try to bait out the Finale, and then you let his crippling debuff afterwards, like, set him over the edge and cause, like, chain heart attacks and stress his whole team out. But yeah, it's a good move. Solo! Solo is a very confusing move. It applies stress to all characters at pretty much the rate that the Man-at-Arms does. So, it moves him forwards 3 as well. It marks him, but it applies a dodge buff, meaning that this is actually a very safe way to get the Jester to the front lines. I'll put this... it's not too good, but it's probably better than Wicked Hack. It's decent for getting the Jester from the back line to the front line. It's a bit weird, but it works. I believe it also applies the crit buff for Finale, so yep. Gonna have to scroll down a little bit here so I can see these skills, or at least have them on the video, because that's my preview window. Slice Off is not a bleed skill. It applies a negative death blow chance, and doesn't really do much else. Yeah, this move just doesn't do enough. Like, it's probably worse than Nerve Stab. At least it does something though. But this move just doesn't do enough. Like, it has the same attack range as Harvest, but it doesn't bleed. It doesn't do that great damage. It has decent crit. That's about it. Battle Ballad. Battle Ballad is a really good skill. I'd say it's bottom S tier, because it is plus 20 accuracy for your whole team. It is a 1 use per battle thing, of course, but if it had more uses, it would probably be broken. Unless it were only like a 3-turn buff. But yeah, Battle Ballad, really good. Pretty much always start with it unless my opponent's running a very low dodge team. But since when does that happen? Everyone runs Jester. Inspiring Tune. The best of the stress healing skills. It does something. It's better than... I'm conflicted because at once, like, in one way, this does heal more stress to the team, but this one applies the minus stress taken debuff. No, not debuff, it's a buff. It has synergy with, like, if the Jester scores a crit, he gets a plus 40% stress healing skills, so this is better. It gets a better benefit from, like, a Brass Bugle, or whatever it's called. This turns to a 45 stress heal, which is pretty good. Well, doesn't actually stress them out as well. It buffs Finale for the extra crit, along with the damage. So, I'll put it here under Exsanguinate. Probably better, but Jester is also a better proactive unit. Chop! Chop is going in D tier because, quite frankly, if you're using the Leper, you're going to be using Q and not Chop. Because Chop just does not much. Chop doesn't even have extra death blow chance. Like, you can get a unit to death's door, but you can't kill them with Chop. Like, it's not the move that you want it to be. If this had, like, I'd recommend, like, giving this plus 100% death blow chance, because, honestly, if you're at death's door and you get hit with a fucking Chop from the Leper, who has the highest damage in the game, it should definitely kill. Like, how can fucking Wimpy Grave Robber get hit with one of these, buffed with Revenge, and not kill? Like, seriously, why? Q is, it's decent. I'll put it above here. Basically, if you're running Revenge and a Hue will most likely take down both. Like, on crit, Hue can pretty much take a front line to Death's Door easily. The only problem is that the Flagellant also stays in the front line, so you're probably going to need to move him away first. But thankfully, he can with Purge. Purge is an amazing skill. Like, one of the reasons to run Leper is Purge, because it does 60% damage. Of the Leper's damage, it has like 100 accuracy. It buffs his accuracy. It's a knockback 3. It's the only one in the game that knocks back 3. Like, if you're running Leper, you probably want to be running Purge, because it's the best reason. You don't even need to run Revenge if you're going to be using Purge a bit. You just run the net, Purge. You can get the fucking Flagellant out of the front rank. You can get the Crusader in the back ranks, which really screws him up. Aside from, of course, Holy Lance, but it's better than him using the stun against you. Yeah, Purge, good skill. Revenge is a dish best served at the end of turn 1. So, Revenge, it's a very janky move. Of course, the Leper's not going to dodge anything, so the debuff from that is bad. The plus 25% damage received can be very screwy, especially with Leper. Like, Leper has a high health pool, he doesn't have a great way to prevent damage over time though, and this is plus damage taken, meaning that, let's say Leper uses Revenge, and he's hit with a, you know, Toxin Darts, or whatever it's called. So, normally they take 4 damage, the Leper would then take 5 per turn, because that's plus 25% damage received, and it does work on damage over time too, I've checked. So, yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Leper also has low bleed resist, and the Flagellant is in the front ranks, and can be hit with Exsanguinate, and I've stated before that if Exsanguinate misses, it's pretty much a loss for the Flagellant. Leper has no dodge and very low bleed resist, meaning that Flagellant kind of gets massive advantage over the Leper for this very reason. So, you don't even need to use Revenge, because Purge is good enough, but if you're running Hugh, this is a good enough self-buff. I wish it were, like, as good as Tracking Shot, but it's fine. I'll put it high C tier, because Purge, it definitely has its benefits. It does make up for the loss and downside of the Leper, except for the low resistances, but yeah. What does make up for the low stats of the Leper in terms of resistances is the Withstand ability. Withstand grants him a lot of resistances to bleed and blight, but not enough to withstand Hound's Harry, of course, but it is good enough to prevent certain moves, such as maybe an Exsanguinate, or some other nasty bleed moves. It's a good move. It lasts for the whole fight. I'd say it is... I wouldn't say it's too great, but it's good enough to be at high B tier. Solemnity. Now, Solemnity is a good move, because unlike Abomination's one, which heals like 13 and deals like more stress, 22 health is good enough to take the Leper off Death's Door and bring it to like half health. If this crits, Leper pretty much goes to full health, which isn't that bad of a chance. It's like 14%, because that's the crit rate of single target healing in this game, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, I'll put that low A tier, just because Leper actually has survivability, unlike the Abomination. Like, if you've done this, Withstand, and this gets more value, because of course it's going to last longer. Intimidate. I've wanted Intimidate to work so badly, but it doesn't work because the Leper needs to be in slot 1, and that's just too easy to remove. I mean, Purge is a very good move. Intimidate just isn't good enough to, like, pick up the slack. It de-stealths, it applies stress, but usually the moves that apply stress have high crit rate as well, so it just stacks on more stress. It doesn't do that for the Leper. Leper has like 6 crit rate. It's not going to do anything. Maybe you're going to run Sharpening Stone with this? Maybe. No, you don't. It does apply a pretty hefty debuff at 33% damage loss. That's more than Weakening Curse by quite a bit. The problem is that if it fails, then you've just wasted your turn. And the only move, like, thing that buffs the Leper's debuff chance is the Eerie Eye, which... I mean, sure, that's a decent choice for him, but, I mean, you're kind of losing out on the Ignore Stealth, because this already ignores Stealth. It does de-stealth, though, and does have decent accuracy, but... this move is a bit too wonky for my tastes. Yeah. You know what? No, it's worse than Flash Powder. Is it actually? No. No, it's a bit better than Flash Powder. These two pretty much do the same thing, but Flash Powder is more flexible. Okay, Crush. You're gonna crush your greasy opponents with this mace. So, I have a theory. The Insignia of Rank, the Man-at-Arms' trinket that buffs accuracy, debuffs skill chance, and crit, was intentionally made with this move in mind, because this applies a debuff of minus 10% protection for 5 rounds, so it's pretty decent if you can land it on the Crusader to, like, weaken him up a bit. But the problem is that Bellow just does it better. Crush itself is a decent enough skill. It can hit rank 3 from rank 2. Does some damage if you're going for a kind of, like, crit with Insignia of Rank to buff the team's accuracy. It can work, but it has a bit low accuracy if you're playing to buff the team's accuracy. I'd say it's probably the best of all the basic melee skills, however. Aside from Wicked Slice, so... Yep, put it there. It's a decent spot for it. I wish it were a bit better, but then again, it's a middle-of-the-road skill. Rampart, however, Rampart's a pretty good move. You definitely don't want to run the support it has in terms of Veteran's Gauntlet, but it's a move forwards, it's a knockback 1, which can be pretty good, and it dazes sometimes. So it's fairly decent for what it is, compared to the knockback of the good old buddy old pal Bounty Hunter. It isn't as good, so I'll knock it back a few spaces. It's probably behind Rake, but it's decent, I guess. You'll definitely want to run Insignia rank with this, and I'm going to need to scroll down now for a second. So Bellow. Bellow is not S tier. Bellow, I'd say, is a mid-A tier somewhere, because it does do a lot of work. You'll need a... Actually, no, I'll put it, it's better than Holy Lance. So, it does a lot of stress. It's like 12 stress to every character, so it's 48 total. It has good accuracy. It applies the debuff of minus 20% damage to all characters. That's the same as applying a Weakening Curse to all characters, minus the protection loss, which if you're playing stress you don't really care about. And sure, you can Rallying Flare away, but if your opponent doesn't have a Rallying Flare and is running base damage, it's really good against them. So one of the things that I like to do is run the trinket that buffs Blight, Bleed, and debuff resist on the Man-at-Arms, along with Insignia of Rank, because people like to run Pit Fighter's Helm, which is kind of unnecessary if you're debuffing their damage constantly. What you want to do is increase his damage over time resistance. Like, he has 5 Blight resist, but Blights aren't really used, and he has decent Bleed skill resist at 35%. So buffing it to 75 gives the Man-at-Arms a lot more survivability, and he can freely bellow to his heart's content. Defender's a good move. It's a guard. I don't think it's as good as the Houndmaster guard, because the Houndmaster just doesn't get hit, but it's close. Also, it buffs the Bleed and Blight resist, so if you're running Man-at-Arms rank 4 and you're facing Flagellant, you can guard rank 3, even if it doesn't actually stop the attack on them. Buffing their Bleed and Blight resist by 50% is good enough to make it so that Rain of Sorrows generally doesn't do anything if you're decently lucky. Retribution, it's not as good as the Highwayman's one, but it is still pretty good. I'd say it's low A tier, but just the fact that you can make the Man-at-Arms not get targeted by someone is pretty good. It can win fights late game if you're lucky, but you need to be lucky. You pretty much need to score crits when it's like Man-at-Arms only character survival, and most people just run Bellow at that rank anyway, so yeah, it's good. Spike Shield is a really good trinket, but it only works on the riposte itself, so do with it as you will. Command is average. Honestly, Command is a perfectly average skill. I put it high C tier. The 20 accuracy buff is pretty good, but it only lasts like 3 turns. Like 2 on the Man-at-Arms himself, effectively. The 4 crit is fine if you're running AoE moves, but other than that, it doesn't really come into effect. And the extra damage, like, while guarded, is kind of superfluous, because, like, since when is that going to come into effect? It's a bit too situational for my liking, but it is 20 accuracy on the party, and you can stack it up, but it takes a lot of turns. Bolster. Bolster is a really good move. Put this in high A tier. I'd say is it better than Bellow itself? Probably not. Put it behind Purge, because Purge is generally a really good skill. 10 dodge and minus 15% stress taken on the whole party just for 1 turn. It's really good. That extra dodge, if your opponent's not running like an accuracy buffer, can save pretty much any unit from being hit, like, if you're lucky. And the minus stress taken against stress comp is, of course, very important. Very, very important. Alright, so I'm going to line these up pretty much the same as the others, because these are the same skills. Like, it's... Except for the units that... Like, not the units, the skills that are actually, by default, different. I'm, of course, going to place these behind the others. Actually, no, wait, this move is different. Yeah, okay, these are the 4 moves that are different in retrospect. So, Smokescreen. Smokescreen is pretty much the only reason to run the Musketeer over the Arbalest, because this move is actually pretty good. Minus 20% accuracy and minus 20% crit is a really good debuff to put on the backliners. Sure, it's not that good against the Occultist, but I mean, you can pretty much stop the enemy Arbalist from scoring a crit on you if you can prevent the Musketeer, of course, from getting pulled. So, yeah. This is a decent move, actually. It's definitely better than this. Actually, I put it very low A tier, merely because it is a very good skill. It can crit, causing a lot of stress, and just, like, I think minus 20 accuracy for 2 rounds and 20 crit is overlooked in terms of how powerful this is. Like, it can stop Hounds Harry from critting, which is a very big reason why Hounds Harry is such a good move, because Houndmaster crits increase his bleed skill chance, and of course AoE crits are just generally really nasty, and this can prevent it. Also, since they have low accuracy, you can get a very big benefit. Oh boy. So, Sidearm. It's slightly better than the Blind Fire. I put it very low D tier. Like, I'm surprised it's not F tier, but it does get plus 30% damage if going first, so it's not the worst. That's all I can say for it. In fact, I'm very tempted to put it in F tier. Musketeer Bandage. It applies plus healing received. It's probably worse than the Arbalist one by a fair bit. It has some synergy with units like the Flagellant, so I'm kind of jaded by the fact that it's a Musketeer skill, so we could put it decently B tier. It's nowhere near as good as the Arbalist one of Curing Bleed. Ranging Shot. Increases accuracy, decreases stress, cures stealth. I think it does something else too. It's very comparable to the Houndmaster skill of the same nature, but it buffs accuracy, so I'll actually say it's a bit better. Let's put it... Is it better than the Jester's one? It does potentially more stress healing. Yeah, I'll put it here. It is fine at this slot. It's not particularly good. Sac Stab. Sacrificial Staff has benefit of benefiting from the... Yes, it has benefit of benefiting from the... You can tell I've been talking for a long time because I'm modeling my speech. It benefits from the Sacrificial Cris, which can mark a unit on hit, and it gets extra damage and accuracy, and this also has extra death blow chance versus stressed, no, not stressed, afflicted. Meaning, if you're going for afflictions, which Occultist is probably best at, it has some merit. I wouldn't say this is a great move, but it's fine. The only problem is it does have low accuracy by default, and it's an Occultist move, and Occultist usually wants to be in the back lines. Sealing Spaghetti of Doom. This applies a lot of stress. 8 points of stress to the back lines, and then 3 rounds of 8 horror, which is very comparable to Abomination Transform. It benefits from the Fleshbound Grimoire as well. It has high crit rate. It does decent damage. This is generally a really good skill to use. Like, I'd even say it's an A tier skill. It's... yeah, I'll put it here. I usually like to use these in tandem, because it hits the front lines and the back lines for damage and stress. So, it's pretty good. Weakening Curse. This is a fine move. I really have nothing else to say about this other than it's fine. It does a decent amount of stress. It weakens damage. I'd say it's an average control tool, but you're mostly using this for 30 stress. Weird Reconstruction, F tier, because it obviously only hits 0. Okay, not really. So, this has benefits of benefiting... I keep saying that. I should take a break. But yeah, this can, and usually does, get benefit from the Occultist scoring a crit and then getting a huge heal. But it can also fail you miserably. It is a good heal that has unlimited uses and can be used to heal the Occultist and any unit from any rank, though. So, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's better than Yorp. Because, who knows, maybe you can get lucky and get a super heal, and not a 0-point bleed. Vulnerability Hex. I'd say this is the best of the marks because it also applies debuff resist, it has decent accuracy. It actually has better accuracy than anything else because you're most likely running the Fleshbang Grimoire. And it does weaken dodge, but Occultist has a lot of trinkets that increase debuff skill chance, so it's probably better than the rest of them like that. So, yeah, put it here. Also does apply that 30 stress, but if you're using a mark comp, you probably don't care. Right, Stygian Embrace. Of course it comes with the downsides, this move of being flared away, because you're going to most likely use it on characters that can't stealth themselves. It's a decent move. It takes characters off death's door. If your opponent's running a AoE damage over time build though, it kind of sucks against that. But making a character that's been marked not be able to be hit for a few turns is generally a good benefit. It lasts for 2 turns, which makes it better than the other stealth moves. It increases stress dealt by 50%. Note, if you use this on a character that is afflicted and they stress out your team, that stress that they deal will benefit from Stygian Embrace, so you can make a bad situation worse, but this is a good move. It is a very niche move, but in the right comps, it is very powerful. I'll say it's low A tier. Actually, maybe I'm giving this the move a bit too much benefit. It does only heal for 1, unless you have the skull, in which case it makes this move actually worse. So I'll put it in B tier, actually. Good old Hands from the Abyss. No, this isn't Hands from the Abyss. Hands from the Abyss is the stun, which isn't in Butcher's Circus. This is Eldritch Pull, or whatever it's called. I forget what this move is actually called. But, yeah. It's a good pull. Flashbang Grimoire is a really good, trinket. It applies 3 horror for, 10 horror for 3 rounds, and 4 with the book. That's effectively like 40 stress. This is a crazy move, and good chance to pull with the book, of course. Of all the move skills, I'd say this is the best, but it doesn't mark like Come Hither, but it's better for pulling than that. So I'll put it behind Come Hither because it doesn't mark, but it is very comparable. It's also tied to the Occultist, which is the downside though. And here we go. Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor, Plague Doctor, Plague Doctor. The worst class in Butcher's Circus. Well, let's see. So, Noxious Blast, bad accuracy, high blight. It's actually not that bad of a skill, but it's a Plague Doctor skill. You're going to need Volatile Concoction to use pretty much any of his or her blight skills. So, given that, I guess it does have decent accuracy. You can't use this in rank 1 though, so it's a bit worse than Highwayman move. Blight Grenade actually does a lot of blight. It's a total of 30 blight if they both land, which they should. It has better accuracy than the other skills. It's average crit rate, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say that it's better than Pick to the Face, but Pick to the Face is still probably better, being a staple move. Blinding Gas. This is a lot like the Musketeer move, of the same nature, but the downside of this is being that it's a Plague Doctor skill. So, yeah. It also applies more stress. But this also doesn't do damage, so it can't crit. So it's a bit confusing whether to put this in above or below. Actually, I'm going to put it below because it is Plague Doctor. What is it even better than? What would you rather use it to? I think I'd actually rather use the Obelisk move instead of this. Yeah, we'll put it above Intimidate. They're very comparable. Incision. Garbage accuracy. This is pretty much just worse than Open Vein. It's the only Plague Doctor move that she can really use in rank 1 other than, the stupid buff. Which is, honestly, that's the slot the Plague Doctor is going to be at most of the time, so here you go. Place that there, I guess. You can use Volatile Concoction combined with the Crushed Hemlock, I guess. And then maybe it'll be viable, but no. Not really. Battlefield Medicine is actually a good move for curing Blight and Bleed, taking them off death's door, but it's not as good as the Crusader's heal usually. Can't use it in the front ranks. Yeah, I'll say it's better than Thrown Dagger. I just have nothing to say about these moves, it's just because Plague Doctor kind of sucks. This move, however, is pretty good. 30 damage, 10 accuracy, 2 uses. Probably the best use of Plague Doctor if you want to just throw and forget. You can use this on the Leper, make a bad unit better, or actually usable in that case. This is probably one of the reasons why Plague Doctor sees the most players in a comp with Leper, just because you can cure the Leper's basically leprosy and make him a god unit. Then again, you kind of need to protect him. And Disorienting Blast, which does very little. You know what? Exactly what I said about Flashbang. except this is actually better than Flashbang because it does do stress and disorients, aka dazes. So, it's better, potentially, but it's also worse because the Plague Doctor doesn't have great move resist benefit in terms of trinkets. So, you know what, I'll place it. It's better than if it bleeds. Pierce. Can hit any rank. Can be used from any rank but rank 4. It's decent, I guess. Can't go without it if you're running a direct damage build. You can use Crushed Hemlock because the other moves of Shieldbreaker benefit from it. It's generally a good skill. Not better than Wicked Slice, but I'd say it's pretty good. Puncture. Puncture is a very good move. I'd say this is S tier because it does decent damage, it pulls 2, it breaks guards, and it generally just fucks with enemy compositions. It's a reason why guards aren't that good. Like, if there were no puncture, guards would be a lot better. Like, I'd say Defender would probably reach high A tier, and Houndmaster's guard would probably be an S tier. But yes, very good move. High versatility, high accuracy at 120, can be used from any rank, hits any rank. What more need you say? Adder's Kiss. This is the heaviest damage over time in the game, aside from... Well, actually, 9 times 3 is... Okay, yeah, it's slightly weaker than Exsanguinate in terms of total damage, being 5 points for 5 rounds. It is the slowest burn, but it also is a heavy burn. It has Barry... It has Barry, yes, it has Barry. It has very bad accuracy at 85, but Shieldbreaker has a lot of accuracy and dodge trinkets. So if this lands, it's very good. It's a backwards 1, so you can combine it with, like, I don't know, point blank shot or something. And it can hit slot 2. Shieldbreaker also can generally get back to the front rank very easily with stuff like Serpent Sway, but we'll talk about them later. Impale. Good skill. Hits all units for decent damage, applies a bit of damage over time. Generally pretty good. A good chance to score a crit, giving her plus 15% protection, which is a pretty good benefit. It's a bog standard AoE move. Put it below Grapeshot Blast because it takes a bit of time to get working up. But if you have another unit that can go backwards 1, you can spam this, and it's basically like a Festering Vapors, except it does a bit more damage. Doesn't have as good support though. Yeah, it does have the Viper Spear tip for 10 accuracy and 20 blight skill chance, but yeah. Expose. Not as good as it was in the base game. It does apply 20 stress, it removes stealth, but usually stealth units stay in the back slot. And it applies the extra crits received debuff, which is surprisingly effective if you want to farm bonuses on a unit that needs to die anyway. This is a good move, but I wouldn't say it's fantastic, because it does get countered by a fair few things. I'll put it above Plague. You know what? No. Yeah, above Pistol Shot. That's a fair spot for this move. I don't get why it has a blue background. It's clearly a debuff. Yeah. No, but then again, so is that the... I don't get the coloring scheme in these moves. Captivate. Captivate is a strong blight. 4 points for 4 rounds, so it's the same as the blight skill of the Grave Robber. It can only hit slots 2 and 3 and can be used from slots 2 and 3. It has bad accuracy at 80, so you're going to need some outside support for this move. It can daze, which is pretty good, I guess. If you hit a Jester with this, which is not going to happen most likely, but it's a good move. I'd say it's barely in D tier though because of its low accuracy. Put it above Smite, but Smite is not really a great benefit. Okay, Serpent Sway. Serpent Sway is an amazing skill. I'd put this in S, but it is only 2 uses per match and does lose to AoE hard. So I'll put it above Tracking Shot. It applies 15 dodge to the Shieldbreaker for 3 turns. It gives her 2 Aegises so she can... Like, the dodge is there so the Aegises don't get used up immediately. And the Aegises are good for preventing pretty much anything that it hits her, aside from, like, debuffs and damage over time. But she usually has good enough dodge to dodge most damage over time's attacks, so... Yep, it's a good move, always run it. And here we go, Vestal. Vestal, Mace Bash. It has not good accuracy, it dazes, it requires the Vestal to be in the front rank, but you use it merely because Like, the same reason you use Picture of the Face. It can daze, and it does do some decent damage, I guess. But it's not fantastic. I'll put it... It's probably better than Bleed Out, honestly. But that's, like, honestly, I think I may have rated put too many things in B tier. But honestly, a lot of these moves are viable, it just matters as support. Judgment doesn't actually do much. If you're using Judgment, you might as well be running Dazzling Light. So let's put Judgment lower on the list, because there's better options for the Vestal to have. Dazzling Light is an amazing skill. Vestal can be moved very easily out of the back ranks though, but unless you have a pull 3, which there aren't any in the game, Vestal can use Dazzling Light still, because she'll be in rank 2 unless you put her in rank 3 for some reason, which in that case, you're an idiot. So I'll put this... Is it better than... No, it's not better than Manacles, because you can get the Vestal in rank 1 and she can't use it. I'll put it here. Vestal does have much better stun support though in the Tome of Fury, giving her unparalleled accuracy. I mean, this move has good enough accuracy anyway. And it also gives her super good stun chance, that trinket, so... Yep. Close to Manacles' power, but not great. Divine Grace, it's a heal, I guess. It's not that great of a heal, because it only heals 1 unit, but it does remove horror, so... I don't know, if someone gets pulled, she can potentially do that, but usually she's the one getting pulled, so... Darkest Dungeon is a more proactive game than a reactive game. Let's put that above Plague Grenade. Divine Grace, however, is a good move because it's an AoE heal. Divine Grace is one of the reasons why Blight and damage over time comps don't always work. Voice crack again. Been doing this for too long. But yeah, this is a good move. Once again, this is one of the best moves in the base game, and they kind of kept that as it is. I'll put it above Breakthrough, as this is one of the main reasons to run Vestal, aside from, of course, the stun. Actually, you know what? It's worse than the stun. I'll put it above Grapeshot Blast, but below all this other garbage. Illumination. It does very little. It debuffs, it removes stealth, and that's about it. Sure, the Vestal has some moves, and the Tome that has debuff, so yeah, but I don't think you can use this in slot 4 though, which is an issue, which is where she wants to be. So, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It does debuff like this move. It's honestly probably worse than Noxious Blast though. And Hound of Light, which is surprisingly competent, given it buffs her accuracy and damage. It buffs accuracy and damage in Butcher Circus too, right? I'm not sure, because I haven't used this move much. I think it also buffs Death Blow chance for melee skills, which is a stupid way of saying that Mace Bash gets extra Death Blow. This is a very confusing skill. I'd say it's slightly better than Mace Bash because it is a range skill and it benefits from the Tome's accuracy buff, so you're not going to miss with it. So, yeah, my standards are pretty low for this move. Put that there. And, yeah, we're done, I guess. So let's go over these. Do I agree with this? Yes, 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 yes. Maybe I'll... Yeah, put you below Stunning Blow. And put you above Finish Him. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'm gonna just say yes a bit. Maybe I should put Breakthrough a bit lower. Yeah, okay, Breakthrough, you're going below Rallying Flare. Yeah, I agree with all of these. Maybe I should put Slam a bit higher. Nah, I think Slam's fine as it is. These are all good, fine, good and fine, cool and nice. You know what, this shouldn't be that high. Put that a bit lower. And, it's looking good, Maybe Hounds Rush should be back a bit. Actually, I think it's fine as it is. The question is, like, it's hard to base these moves because they are, of course, from different characters who serve different roles, but I'm trying to take this into account for if you have this character at your disposal, would you use this move? So, yep. All seem fine, all seem well and good. Maybe Flash Power should be a bit lower. It's just surprising how few moves are in the dregs tier. I probably misrated something along here, but that's just because, like, I'm prone to error. Like, are these marks really that bad? Not really, but there's just better things to use. Like Adrenaline Rush, you probably don't want to use that much, except for maybe when she's in the back ranks. So, yeah, I honestly agree with all of... You know what? Fuck you, Sidearm, you're going to F tier. Just don't like these moves. So yeah, that's the end of the tier list. Let me scroll out a bit so you can get a good picture. So yep, that is my ranking for every move in Butcher's Circus. Like, make sure to take a screenshot now so you can post it to I don't know what. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I spent, like, how long is this video? An hour and 48 minutes recording this on end because I only do one take. I don't split up my videos into multiple segments because I want to get this done as soon as possible. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll probably only do Butcher's Circus content when it gets updated. So basically in like 3 years when that happens, but yeah. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.